Blog Talk Radio.
Hey, what's going on, y'all? This is Beat Street Sports Talk Radio. Today is February 26th, 2004, and we are having a great show today. Pretty much be focused on basketball. We'll get into some Raymond Felton and other things. But if you got topics you'd like to add to the show, feel free to always give us a call here at 347-945-6921. Again, that is 347-945-6921. And like I said, a lot of good focus on basketball. A lot of say this is that time of season. We're getting close to March Madness. The NBA is getting down to like 20 games. So it's a pretty good time of year right now. Turn this down a little bit. Sounds a little loud. Sorry about that, y'all. But actually, what I want to start with is Wichita State. Wichita State has reached a record of 30-0 in college basketball. I believe this is the first time a team has done that during the regular season. I guess since playing this large amount of games in the regular season for a collegiate team. So congratulations to Wichita State for that. They're ranked number 2 now in the AP Top 25. There has to be a record for that school. And I had a question online asked to me, do you think these guys should actually be a number 1 seed in the NCAA tournament when it comes up? And that's hard for me to say yes. I know they're undefeated, and I'm not exactly sure their margin of victory throughout the season. But they haven't played any powerhouses. Let's just be honest. They play in the Missouri Valley Conference. I'm sure none of y'all haven't heard of this that aren't really into college basketball. It's not one of your powerhouse conferences. And, to give them a number 1 seed, even over a team, let's say, like Duke, would be hard to say, even though Duke, I believe, has, 6 losses at this time. When you're playing in the ACC, you're playing Syracuse twice. You're playing Virginia Tech twice. You're playing Florida State. You're playing North Carolina State. You're playing University of Maryland. You're playing powerhouses pretty much game in and game out once conference play starts. I mean, think about this. Duke played the number 1 team twice this season already, and more than likely will play them again in the ACC tournament. Compare that to a team like Wichita State is doing very well for the conference that they're in, but you're not playing against Kansas or Oklahoma State, or even playing teams like Oregon and Stanford or UCLA or USC out there in the Pacific. So, to me, if they were given a second seed, a number 2 seed, I know they would be upset because they are undefeated, but to me it wouldn't be too much of a slight. They're just, you gotta, a team like that maybe needs to strengthen their out-of-conference schedule to kind of, improve their standing, I think, as far as the NCAA tournament is concerned, as far as when the committee does their selection process. But winning is winning, so I do have to tip my cap to Wichita State. They are 30-0. They probably won through their conference very easily and will get a number 1 seed. And when they do, that's a lot of pressure being the number 1 seed. And the Shockers are going to have to worry about being shocked, even though they did make the Final Four last year. So it does show that, they are able to play against quality competition. I don't know what they were seeded last year, but number 1 this year, more than likely you'll play a lot of quality teams in the rounds to come, maybe except for outside of the first round. But it'll be it'll be interesting to see how this develops with them. But again, congratulations to the Wichita State Shockers for reaching the 30-0 record right now. It means a lot, but it means nothing at the same time. Now, let me transition you guys over to the NBA. The biggest story in the NBA at this particular moment, I guess, is Raymond Felton. As you know, he was arrested for carrying or not even carrying, possessing. He wasn't even possessing because he didn't have it on him, but owning an unregistered weapon in the state of New York. Now, if I'm leaving out some details, please correct me either in the comment section or call, whatever the case may be. But I'm going off the information and data that I know at this particular time. And it's, people are blaming Raymond Felton, saying he's unresponsible, he's an idiot, he should know the state laws, and he should know better, and look what happened to Plexico, and the Knicks shouldn't allow him to play, and all these things. To me is like, whoa, America, slow down. One, we're allegedly presumed innocent until proven guilty. And two is like, sometimes, we're the problem as a society, because if he gets arrested for this, it makes us look dumb as a country, to me personally. And the reason I say this is, and like I said, if I'm getting the details wrong, please correct me, that how do you see a man going to jail for someone bringing a weapon to the police saying, oh, this person owns this weapon which isn't registered? So they're not carrying it out in the streets. It's not in their vehicle. It's not on their person. You're not even in possession of it at that particular time, but yet you're subject to being convicted of a crime. That's crazy to me. That's just crazy to me. It seems like something where it could be settled with a fine and then immediate registration or within the next 30 days, whatever the case may be. I know we have our prison industrial complex, and it seems like these are the type of laws or type of situations that are designed to fuel prisons to keep them at their 90% capacity that they were promised when these prison privatization agreements were. Because to me, what he did may have been ignorance, but it's not a crime. It's not Plexico. He wasn't out in the streets and carrying a weapon with him, going into a crowded public forum and, the weapon falling down his pants and shooting him in the leg. No, that did not happen. It's a totally different situation. So hopefully the prosecutor or the district attorney, whoever, doesn't try to paint a broad brush with Raymond Felton and, he receives any type of prison time, because to me, I don't think it's warranted. And I'm also happy that the New York Knicks, particularly White Woodson, say, hey, this is our family member. We love Raymond Felton, and, we don't plan on giving him any type of disciplinary actions at this particular time. Yes, he was at practice today, and he's going to play against the Miami Heat tomorrow. So, these are his brothers. These are people that have been with him in the locker room all year and have been aware of his situation. I believe it's his estranged wife is the one who actually turned the weapon over to the police that gave this situation light. So people are talking about Raymond Felton's play as of late, and imagine if your estranged wife is able to do something like that to get you arrested, even though I think it was alleged that he did wave a weapon in her face. That's going to be hard to prove in the court of law as well. But imagine why his, play on the court may have not been good, or why his focus may have not been where it should have been if you're dealing, you're having such turmoil in your personal life, So I'm glad to see that the Knicks organization is behind him. And the heavy thing about it is that he's not being charged for any type of assault charge, anything towards his wife. So it looks like it's purely on the ownership of a unregistered weapon. So in that regards, as a public, I think that we should demand some type of better gun laws or some more sensible gun laws in that respect for the state of New York, because this man does not need to serve any particular prison time, and to me, it definitely doesn't need to lose his career. I mean, the way he's playing, he doesn't need a contract extension either, but let him lose his NBA career based off the merits of his play as opposed to, a situation that he's facing right now. So I'll keep my eyes on the situation as the more information comes out, and if I'm inaccurate on anything I've stated, I'll be happy to retract and get the facts out as far as the situation is concerned as most as possible. I'm going to transition over to another topic in the NBA. It looks like Danny Granger has been bought out from the Philadelphia 76ers. As you know, Danny Granger was traded from the Indiana Pacers to the Philadelphia 76ers for Evan Turner. Evan Turner, by the way, had 13 points last night in his debut with the Indiana Pacers and looked very good. I think he's going to look as good as I envisioned with that particular team, and I can see him siphoning off some playing time from Lance Stevenson, and I can see a situation where, Evan Turner's playing the 1, Lance Stevenson at the 2, and Paul George at the 3, a big lineup. I think he can actually handle that ball handling responsibility. And they play and also he's an asset on the defensive end. So it's going to be interesting to see how they toy around with Evan Turner as the season progresses towards the playoffs. But Danny Granger, like I said, was bought out by the Philadelphia 76ers, and it looks like now he's eyeing signing with the Los Angeles Clippers. It's not a move I'm ecstatic about, to be honest with you. I don't know what he's going to bring to the table for the Clippers. I don't know if he's going to be that boost. I don't really know how he fits into the scheme with them. They have Matt Barnes. They have Jared Dudley. I'm not sure of Jared Dudley's health at this particular time, but he is on the roster. I just don't know in that system what type of boost he's going to give the Clippers. And it seems like they're definitely fishing for a boost, as they signed Big Baby to join the Clippers as well. Again, don't know how much playing time Baby will get, but he would be, a decent backup for Blake Griffin or DeAndre Jordan, even though Big Baby may be, 6'6", 6'7". He does know how to use his body well, but you definitely lose something as far as athleticism and length and speed when he would be in the game. Going back to Danny Granger, though, I think a more suitable option for him, and it's a team that's actually courting him, is the San Antonio Spurs. I could see in that situation less pressure for him to be resemblance of his older self and kind of just fit into what they're doing. I could see him playing off of Tim Duncan well. He just seems like he's more suited to fit into the culture and the system where it's more predicated on the system as opposed to personal ability. And just playing with Popovich and if he wants to win the ring, I think the San Antonio Spurs would definitely be a more valuable, I don't even know if that's the word I'm looking for, but be a more sensible location for him to go to as opposed to the Clippers. Excuse me, the Clippers, they have a great record. They're 19 games above 500, and they're playing very well. It's just that, honestly, their playoff history of the last year doesn't tell me that the Clippers are going to make it to the conference finals, or that if they're played somebody, can you see them beating Houston, San Antonio, or Oklahoma City at this time? I don't. And I don't think Danny Granger would be that boost to do so. But I think he could be the little boost on a team like the Spurs that would give them some help during the finals, especially helping them out now while someone like Kawhi Leonard is on the shelf. So it'll be interesting to see where he decides to go. I know it may be difficult with the Spurs because they probably aren't guaranteeing him any particular playing time or anything of that nature. But at least one thing, they're not going to lie to you. I could see the Clippers maybe promising him more than actually him not getting the playing time he envisioned. So I just think, for where he's at in his career, it'd be more sensible for him to join the San Antonio Spurs. But we shall see in a few days, won't we? And then also, too, sticking with the NBA, staying out west, there was another story that caught my eye, and it just had me thinking about why some organizations are good and why some organizations are bad. And the story I called was that the Sacramento Kings were working out Royce White. Royce White is a player, I believe he went to Iowa State, and athletic, 6'8" forward who was drafted by the Houston Rockets, or I don't even know if he was drafted by the Rockets. It might have been the Sixers. It might have been traded to the Rockets. But last team he was on was Houston, and he never played. He has a fear of flying, and, that really kind of is impacted to the point where he's not able to travel with the team. And that's why his career is where it is right now, where he's pretty much out of the league. He's a great talent, for sure, would be an asset to any team. He could play the point forward, has great court vision, athleticism. He's the type of player that if he was playing during his rookie or sophomore year, you would probably see him in the Rising Star Challenge, that type of talent he has. But his fear of flying and playing professional sports are not conducive to each other. They're just not. And, I've heard before in speeches and lectures for him saying how the league needs to be more sensitive to his situation and be more compliant and try to make his stipulations. I don't think that's the word I'm looking for either. But trying to make his situation easier for himself. But my thing to this guy is, listen, I don't know if this, playing professional sports falls into the Disability Law Act. I just don't think it does. This is a professional sport. What's entailed when you dreamed about playing this as a kid, and if you can't comply with one of the most basic tenets of the sport is we travel to play opponents frequently. If that's a problem for you, you just can't play. Or you're gonna have to find a way where you can cope with the requirements of your profession. Maybe get with a psychologist and get some type of coping mechanisms so that you can fly or be able to contain yourself so you don't have those fits and anxiety attacks and things of that nature. And I'm not trying to demean them or belittle them because I don't know the severity of how those attacks may feel to him personally. But the NBA is a business. And you knew that when you entered the draft, the business that you were wanting to partake in, and that was going to provide you a wealthy lifestyle. So don't put the onus on the team, because the team was here before you, Royce White, and it's going to be here when you're gone. So I think the onus is on you finding ways and finding resources and finding coping mechanisms to deal with your anxiety or fears or phobias, whatever the case may be. And maybe you could be an advocate for learning how to deal with those type of things as opposed to being a person that was pointing the finger and saying, the organization were being insensitive to your needs. They took a chance by drafting you, and from what I've read, they were trying to work with you in various ways. But you have to walk that yourself, fam. You really do. And I wish you the best of luck. Hopefully it does work out because you are a great talent, Royce White. But, hey, this is a profession. So you're going to have to find ways where you can comply. But let me move on to my next topic. Spend a little bit of time on that. Going back to the Knicks, because we did talk to them a little bit about Raymond Felton, but just wanted to talk about some signings. The Knicks signed Earl Clark. He was recently waived by the Sixers. He was involved in a trade with the Cleveland for Spencer Hawes. I like Earl Clark. I think Earl Clark's a great talent. I saw what he did with the Lakers last year, and I was very impressed. I thought Cleveland had a diamond in the rough when they signed him. I knew I need to go back and see what his contract was and why they were able to get rid of him so easily. I don't know. Maybe he signed a one-year deal or something. I don't know. But I think he's a great stretch four. He can hit from the outside. He can run the floor. I don't know how hard he hits the boards and that nature off the top of my head, but he's 6'10", and pretty athletic. And I think he's a great pickup for the Knicks. I think he could play that Chris Copeland role that they're desperately missing right now, kind of give Carmelo some someone that can help space the floor, and I think that's why the Knicks missed Steve Novak as well. And also kind of help, crash the boards in ways and help Tyson Chandler out in those ways as well. And he can run the floor. Like I say, he's not a big, slow, clodding type of player. So, he's going to be able to get out and run. Unfortunately, the Knicks don't run as much as I think. They should be playing like Phoenix and Houston to me. The Knicks should be running all the time. And I think they realized that as well because they also added Shannon Brown, the former Los Angeles Laker, I believe. Shannon Brown was on a 10-day contract with the Spurs recently. You might find 2 with them. But Shannon Brown's an athletic 2-guard who runs the floor, has a decent corner 3-point shot, and, just an energy guy. And I think that's what the Knicks reading right now. They just need guys that are going to come in and just bring a spark of energy, some enthusiasm, and be like energy drinks for the roster to try to, light a fire under this team because even though the Knicks' record is horrible, I believe as of today they're 5 games out of the 8th seed. So all is not lost. I mean, Atlanta, I think, is the 8th seed right now, and those guys are free-falling like crazy. 3 weeks ago, they were like 4th seed. But whatever mojo Atlanta had is gone right now. So they're falling fast. So teams like Detroit, Cleveland, and New York have a decent chance to catch those guys. But there's no more games to waste for them. They're going to actually have to, get on a roll right now. Whichever one of these teams gets hot over these next 20 to 25 games is going to be the one that does it. So we'll see if these guys are in uniform and how they play tomorrow night when they'll be active on the roster playing against the Miami Heat. And probably the last story I'll get into today is Jimmer Fredette. Looks like he may have been bought out by the Sacramento Kings and is looking for a new home. And I think the Memphis Grizzlies were interested in acquiring Jimmer Fredette, but I don't think he's sold on going to those guys yet. And Jimmer, if you're listening, let me talk to you for a minute real quick. Can get on the Wizards roster. With the way you shoot and the way that John Wall runs the floor and hits open guys up, for those corner threes like Ariza, Martell Webster, and Bradley Beal, you'll have a field day, bro. I mean, you'll just be able to do your thing, catch and shoot. You don't even have to do a lot of creating. Miami Heat also, I don't know how much time they would give you, but with your shooting touch, you would greatly benefit playing for a team like the Heat. The Spurs, too. I can see you playing in that organization as well. But, Jimmer, if you can go on a contender right now and just add some solid shooting, just be a kind of Steve Kerr specialist for the second half of for a team, I think you can put yourself in position to make a deep playoff run, and that's where the recognition happens, and that's where your brand is created, and that's where your money is made in the playoffs. So if you can get on a team where eyes are on you and you can make it to the second conference finals or the finals, you could turn your career around very quickly. So choose wisely, Jimmer, for that, and think about the Wizards. Even though I'm not guaranteeing they go far in the playoffs, I think you can help and give them a possibility to maybe get to a second round. And the last little story is not a big one either in the NBA, but it looks like Bino Udrich did sign with the Memphis Grizzlies. It's a good pickup. They don't have a great point guard behind Mike Conley. I believe the kid is Calathis or something like that. I know he looks old as hell. He looks like a young Chris Kaman. A white dude. If you go on ball, cut it all off, man. That rocking that John Luke McCarr is not cool. Or or George Jefferson or the brothers have. Go ahead and just cut it off, man. You don't want to look like you're 40 in your rookie year. It's not a good look. But Bino Udrich is a solid point guard. He doesn't make many mistakes. He can run the team pretty well. and he's an upgrade from Calais, so I think it's a good pickup, minor pickup for the Grizzlies, which they need to do. They're still respectively in the hunt, and, you know, Memphis has been one of those teams that's known to make some noise in the playoffs. So, you know, they just won a game. Right now, let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. They're actually the 9th seed, one game behind Phoenix. So, and one game behind Dallas in the loss column. So, I understand why they made the move. They don't have too much margin for error right now either. And looking at the Western Conference standings right now, it's amazing to me that the Denver Nuggets are 25-31. You know, I kind of feel bad for Brian Shaw. This is his first, you know, year as a head coach, and it might be his last year as a head coach for Denver, because George Karl definitely wouldn't have had these guys at 25-31. That's for sure. I know he has injuries. Danilo Gallinari hasn't played. JaVale McGee hasn't played. Nate Robinson is injured for the season. But there's still enough talent on that roster that you guys should be close. Your record should be similar to Memphis, which is 31-24. That's where you guys should be, at least, I'm seeing. And you're not. So if, you know, Brian Shaw, he doesn't, you know, continue, even though it's his first year, I understand, you know, you got to, maybe it's a learning lesson for him that you can't be a student of Phil Jackson all the time. Like, the triangle doesn't work in every situation. Use the talent that you got. You have a thoroughbred young team. Those guys need to run. If you have Ty Lawson on your roster, you got to run. You know, you have athletes. You got Kenneth Faried. You got Wilson Chandler. You know, you guys should be, like, again, the model franchise right is a team like Phoenix, because you don't have any superstars. You have a lot of quality players that, you know, if you can get them to play selflessly, that their record would be close to where Phoenix is and Memphis is right now as well. So, again, I was going to say maybe you could fight for that last position, but I don't think so. Denver, you're 6 games under 500, and Phoenix is 33-22. 33-22, that's a 3rd seed in the Eastern Conference. So it just shows you how deep the Western Conference really is right now. But I think I ran my mouth enough today, covered most of my bases. I appreciate you guys listening. If there's any other topics you ever want to bring up to me, you can hit me up on our sports page, Beat Street Sports Blast on Facebook. And you can always email me any topics or questions at BeatStreetSports@yahoo.com. Again, this is Lee, a.k.a. the Hoops Guru. Thanks for listening. Peace.